like John Evans said, you're on top. You're got a good one.
Okay, we got a small reminder group for starters, so if I can get your attention, please. Let's go ahead and stand. We'll get started off here the right way. Join me as we honor our nation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Before y'all sit down, up here at the front, we always have a place set for those who are not able to be with us. So let's take a moment of silence and remember. Thank you. Go ahead and take your seats. I'm going to run around the room real quick and say who we are, if you served in the military branch time era, and then if you're a military supporter, say military supporter. We'll start with that.
Adrian Michelle Spence.
Her husband, Scott Spence. I flew the A-10 mostly for about 15 years, 81 to 97. Got an early retirement. Downsized all the bases. They got rid of fighter squadrons and went from 39 fighter squadrons to 18. So I got an early retirement. Thanks to good work.
Kelly passed away to Adrian.
Milo, Georgia, United States Army, 1968 to 73, Vietnam, 70, 71.
Mark Bartels, U.S. Army, Germany, 69, 70.
Zach Spellis, served in the Marine Corps from 2008 to 2012, awarded to Afghanistan.
Corey Frias, Marine Corps, from 2016 to 2023, was in Michigan, North Carolina, and Korea.
Ira Rodriguez, U.S. Army, 2003 to 2011, did Afghanistan.
Eddie Bonilla, U.S. Army, 69 to 71.
Robert Beck, U.S. Army, artillery, 87, 95. And I broke his glasses.
I'm Kerry Radcliffe. I was U.S. Navy 97, and then the Marines stole me in 2001.
You want to go to West Point?
Good for you.
Thanks for being here. Welcome. Let's go over here.
Justin Stevens, 2000 to 2022, U.S. Air Force, JSAC, joined the everywhere.
John Winters, the Navy of diesel submarines. Total late time was 1956 to 1964.
Eddie Jones, Army, 87, 97.
Rhodes, Air Force, retired, beginning of 1995.
My name's Carl Meyer. I was in the Army from 83 to 93 and then reserves in 2000. Desert Storm. What we have for announcements today? Zach, you want to talk about the slideshow?
So, real quick, y'all, you mentioned it last month that if you have any pictures of you in service or maybe something military affiliated, shoot that picture to me if you want to have it on the presentation. So, the intent there again is as people are trickling in, some this little slideshow presentation kind of just be displayed on the present TV screen, and so people can see more things about your story and whatnot, instead of us kind of just guessing who each other is and whatnot. It's something more fun to do. If y'all don't do it, then I'm just going to put a bunch of pictures of me on there. If y'all don't want that, then send me your pictures. Or send them to Kathy, please. Preferably Kathy, she's a professional on this. Again, if you don't want my mother on there, send them to Kathy.
If you want to make it look like you're really cool, but we're out the faces of anybody else. Other announcements? Anything else?
Nicole's on here, so you're down.
You go for it. Put you on the spot.
GallantFew is hosting our second annual gala on March 29th. In support of our fundraiser coming up, the Patriot Challenge. So we are having some tables and seats available. Carl can get with you and on the pricing and whatnot on that. But we do hope that all of you can attend. Last year we had a great first inaugural gala, and we want to keep that going on. So if you want to participate, please get with him or Nicole, or just message GallantFew or one of the GallantFew social media pages, and we can get you all the information.
It's going to be at the Marriott Salon. And Brandon Young, one of our board members, Army Ranger veteran, multiple combat tours, he now owns a business that's called Applied Leadership Partners. And he and his business partner released a book about sales training, organizational management. So he's going to speak. And he's speaking at, I just saw a social media yesterday, he's speaking at a very large nonprofit today. I can't remember the exact, looking it up, he'll tell us who it is. But you'll really enjoy it. So we got tables. If you want to sponsor a table, if you just want to get a ticket. If you can't afford one, hit me up and I'll make sure that you get a place at one of the tables that I'm going to provide.
Marcus Institute for Brain Health.
Marcus Institute for Brain Health. So not a small organization. He's an in-demand speaker, and so we're going to be releasing, everybody that comes is going to get a signed copy of his book. So that's a little bit of motivation to come. Trying to think of themes over the last week. We got a minute here since we didn't have quite so many. Apparently, people thought the Super Bowl was today. So either that or they're busy baking and cooking at home for tomorrow. So a little bit of a light turnout, but that's all right. People that need to be here are here. But that gives us a little more time to talk about anything that's happened over the last week. So what about anything that you all have seen or observed in the veteran space that you want to bring up over the last week? You may have seen interaction with another veteran, seen anything on the news.
Not good.
So I came to GallantFew through veteran circles, veterans business circles. I don't know if anybody's aware of that group. It's a group of like-minded business owners that we have a meeting once a month, usually the first Wednesday of the month, and it's mostly for business owners, but it's also a good place to come out to, job hunting, networking, and so forth. It's more business minded, so they'll have presentations on marketing or different things that help your business, employee issues, HR issues, and that's how I came to GallantFew. And our meetings are being held in Fort Worth at the Chamber of Commerce is letting us use their facilities, and so parking validated. It's a nice thing to do. Then afterwards, go grab a cup of coffee downtown and do the parking. But it's a good place for networking, and the group is really trying to do some more growth this year to reach out to more veteran businesses. How that relates to GallantFew is I'm trying to recruit some of those businesses to help support us in our mission as well. And I think the business community, the veteran community, and the charity arm of things will go really hard, hand in hand with what I'm trying to bring in kind of together. Casey used to be a point on that, and now I guess I'm going to be taking up the next.
Yeah, thanks for doing that. Appreciate it, Gary. Anybody else?
So, you have reminded me, Black Rifle Coffee Company, Sundays at 9 o'clock over in Alliance, there's a veterans group that meets, I can't remember if it's 9 or 10 o'clock, but every Saturday over, if y'all want to get over there on any Saturday, we're not
And
here.
they meet at the Black Rifle Coffee Shop?
Yeah, in Alliance off Heritage Trace.
Okay, did not know that.
Is it just in that location?
There is one down in Benbrook, that one's kind of far, but those are the only two locations I know that veterans groups meet up.
In Alliance?
That's every Saturday?
Every Saturday.
What time?
I believe it's 9 o'clock.
Okay, so.
Yeah, so they're meeting, today. So I was gonna have Don Granks here with me today, but he was going over there to speak.
Where was that?
Black Rifle Coffee Company off Heritage Trace in 35 in the Alliance area by HEB.
Yeah, so Mallory Morrison reached out to me, actually from a work perspective, and asked if we would be willing to pull together Valentine's for veterans. So, you know, sometimes it's hard to think about that in veterans' homes. So the Texas Veterans Homes, you know, she said last year, I guess, they did something similar, and one of the homes actually in Arizona, they didn't even have enough funds to organize it. So, I think she decided to kind of reach out, so we did, so we pulled together, and that one required 120, but, a bunch of cards and candy, and we shipped that off yesterday, but I guess it just kind of makes you think that, you know, these veterans probably have not a lot of visitors, and something like that, you know, kind of means a lot to one of my ladies' grandsons, do some schools on those cards. So I put a special note, because there's no words on these cards except little drawings. So we, let's get together.
That's very cool. That probably reminded some of them of being overseas someplace.
Right.
Getting one of those cards from home, you know,
Yeah.
the feeling that you get when you open something up and read it after a while.
There was a couple people who I didn't even kind of, and they raised their hand, so it must have meant something, because I hadn't really seen them around too much to help out, so it was nice.
Yeah, well done. Nice job. Anybody else? I talked to, this last week, a veteran who was a platoon sergeant in the Marine Corps. And he's got some post-traumatic stress symptoms, and he was trying to figure out, the communication between he and his wife was a little bit of an issue. And she couldn't understand the experiences that he had in the combat zone, and he didn't want to tell her details of the experiences. And when he did share details, then she would say, well, why did you do that? You know, what happened there? And then it would take him further into kind of feeling anxiety and starting to get upset about it, which would result in getting angry, and then you have a fight, right? You start out just trying to maybe help and support somebody, and it goes down the wrong path. So one of the questions that I asked him was, that I asked her, was if you had one of your female friends who had been sexually assaulted at some point in the past, and she said, oh yeah, I have. And I said, how do you talk to her? What kind of questions do you ask her? And I think for her it's a little bit of a light bulb moment, because she wouldn't ask one of her friends who was attacked, why did you do that, right? Or why didn't you do that? She would be supportive and just be there for her. So helping her understand that may help communications with him. And I'm bringing that up now because if you have any opportunity to have a conversation like that, or if anybody sees the YouTube video, when you think about how do you talk to a veteran that may have seen some things that they can't talk about, right? You can't ask them for specific details. I told the husband, I said, you know, one of the things that we all know is when somebody finds out that you're a veteran, maybe it's somebody you knew when you were younger, or maybe it's somebody you just met, out of ignorance, they might say, did you ever have to kill him? Right? Yeah, everybody's nodding their head, right? So for us, whether you did or you didn't, that can, either one of those can send you into a bad place. Because either you did something that you really regret, or you didn't do something because of whatever reason, and you feel maybe you didn't do your service. So either way, it's a bad question to ask. So if you know it's going to come, how do you prepare for that question? Right? You know it's coming. We all practice things in the military. When your weapon jams, you know the immediate action that you have to do to clear your weapon. Right? Somebody's going to ask you, have you ever killed anyone? How do you respond to that? Think of that now instead of when the question is asked. And there are other things you may think. If somebody asks you this, I'd be upset. Okay? Develop your response now. My best response to that is, that's not an appropriate thing to ask a veteran. Period. Right? And just leave it at that. So you kind of educate them a little bit on it.
It didn't happen to me in the military. I was a police officer.
Yeah, same thing, law enforcement, right? Would you ask a firefighter, have you ever carried a dead person out of the house? Right? I mean, no, you don't ask those kind of questions, right? So anyway, it's understanding that and then having empathy when you're doing that. So we need to educate people on the right way to ask those kind of questions. A different veteran that I spoke to said, and they have some, is that a good tip for all of us? Is that a good tip for all of us back there?
Sorry.
One of the other veterans that I talked to this last week had not gone into the VA for care. And he has symptoms of post-traumatic stress, he has some physical injuries, back, knee, that kind of thing. So why haven't you gone into the VA for care? He says, well, I served with guys that lost eyes, arms, died, right? So I don't want to go take any of the resources away from somebody who might need them. And so as we talked about that, one of the things that I encouraged him to think about was, if you were ever a supervisor in the military, if you consider yourself a leader, if somebody, one of your former soldiers or Marines comes to you and says, hey, what do you know about the VA? If you haven't ever gone in there, what are you going to tell them? Well, I don't know because, so now you may have denied care for somebody who may not be able to get it someplace else. So that's one thing. The second thing is, as a leader, I have great health insurance through my wife's business. But I use the VA for my annual physicals because I want to know what standard of care they provide. And if the standard of care they provide is not good, I'm going to tell the supervisor that wasn't good, right? We need to make sure and hold the VA accountable for the services that they provide. I've even registered a complaint with the director of the hospital before when I was working with in another state because he wasn't getting the kind of care that he had earned. And I think I helped light a little fire under them to make things happen. When you're low ranking, I'm going to generalize a little bit, you tend to go into the VA. If the VA says, you sit over there and we'll get to you, and we get to you, you may sit there 4 or 5 hours. If you're a higher ranking, the VA says, go sit over there. If you're there more than 15 minutes, you're going to be like, what's going on? So I think it's an obligation for us to make sure that the VA is held accountable for what they do. I liked this last week. I saw on Instagram the director, the chief of the VA, the new guy, did a video. And he said he pledged that they were going to have a special effort to put veterans first, which is very ironic because that's what they should be doing all along, right? But there may be an opportunity here for some of the attitude within the VA to change. If some people change and have been entrenched for a long time, then ultimately services may get better. So watch that. The other thing that I will tell you is don't get caught up in the things that you see on social media, right? The world is going to hell. The country is falling apart. And we're not going to be able to get health care next week because everything's going away. None of that stuff happens. I remember when Don't Ask, Don't Tell went into effect, I was like, I don't know if I can still be in infantry officer because my feelings have changed somewhat over time. But at that time, it was like, how can I be part of this institution when it goes against the faith background I was brought up, right? And my battalion XO was like, just chill out, it'll be okay. It'll be okay, right? So we all need to wait, we all need to support each other, don't attack each other on social media. That's the worst thing that I see is people go out and somebody disagrees with them, I'm gonna block them, and they worry about blocking because we don't need to do that, we need to come together. So enough of my soapbox. Doug, I'm gonna turn this over to Doug now. Was there anything else? No, that was it. So Doug Rhodes, most of you have heard Doug speak before. He's a GallantFew ambassador. Doug and I go back now a couple of years. And it's really an honor to get to know Doug because Doug has a heart for reaching out and caring for and leading other people. And that was something that I feel for a long time he did not do. And the more that he didn't do that, the lower the quality of his life. Once he started getting into caring for other people, the quality of his life went up. And he's involved in a lot of GallantFew things. So proud to know you, proud to call you friend. So Doug, I'll turn it over to you.
Good morning. I'm Doug Rhodes. It's a beautiful day out there. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak. I spoke in front of this assembly in September of 2023. And I had a slideshow. Crazy uncle with a slideshow. Put it on for about 4 or 5 hours, like all those 35mm slides. Click, click, click. Everybody would fell asleep. Today, it's an update. It's a continuation of that presentation that I made. And I'm doing a show and tell because the journey that I've been on, the things that I brought with me have meaning in my life, and they also have significant milestones that have occurred in my life. The first thing I'm going to talk about, I'm going to talk about the United States flag. I possess, right here on this table, there's 5 United States flags. I also have the United States flag hanging outside the balcony of my apartment, with an Air Force retired flag as well. I belong in America. I'm grateful that I've been given an opportunity to reestablish my veteranness and become someone who is able to talk and give back, present myself as someone who does care. And I think that Carl recognized that. This first flag right here, and there is something I don't even have to talk about, but I'm going to talk about it anyway when I get to the end. This first flag right here, if you've not seen one before, you've never been presented one, it's a casket flag. This is the casket flag that was on my father's casket when he passed away in November of 1984. I asked my stepmother if I could have it, because losing my father when I was 22 years old had a deep impact on me, because he didn't get a chance to see my children. My children are adults now. He didn't get to see his great-grandchildren, my grandchildren. So this is very impactful for me. The case that this flag is in, I made this. And I have a little plaque made, and I attached it to it with my father's name. He is my beloved father. And this hangs in my apartment above my bedroom door, so I get to see it all the time. And the one thing about talking about it is that, of course, you can't talk about something if you don't have supporting documents. This is the presentation that they made when he passed away. And this is a copy of his deed 214. Way back when, they used to microfiche them, give them to the people who got out of the military. My father served from, if I can remember, until January 14, 1960. And he spent 3 years in the Army, mostly in Europe, in France and Lebanon, and Germany. I have his photo album from them at that time. No, I was not going to bring that because I'd have to remember a lot of things and try to relate things that I didn't participate in. But this has meaning, and it's had meaning in my life for 40 plus years, because I do miss my father. There are a lot of things that I could have said to my father, asked my father, got advice about growing up. I may not have gotten into the situations that I got myself into had he still been alive. But my path is my path, and I'm grateful that it is continuing from here today, going on into the future. The next flag that I'm going to talk about is this flag. And it goes with this giant certificate right here. My retirement certificate and my retirement board. I didn't want a ceremony when I retired from the military, when I retired from the Air Force. All I was happy with is a handshake and a thank you. And I mentioned him before, Joe Bella, my friend and co-worker and confidant, when I was getting ready to retire, had none of it. He wasn't going to have any of that. He's saying that a handshake and thank you is all I want. He said, no, you're retiring from the Air Force as a master sergeant, you're going to have a ceremony. So this flag here was folded and presented to me on my retirement. It has meaning for me because it signifies a passing of my military career into the civilian life that I now lead. This also is in my house, visible for anybody who comes in to see it. I take a lot of pride in the fact that I was able to retire from the military, because I had no idea what I was going to do with my life as I commenced and I went through my military career. I was grateful and happy to stay where I was. I'm also grateful that I took the chance and asked the Air Force to retrain me in 1996, the end of 1996, because I went from being a firefighter in the Air Force to being a radio and television broadcaster. And I got asked a lot of questions like, why in the hell are you doing that? My only answer was the Air Force allowed me. The Air Force allowed me to do that because being a radio and TV broadcaster, specifically being on the radio, was something that I had as a dream when I was a kid.
given the opportunity to be a firefighter is every kid's dream, or at least it was in 1981, when I enlisted in the Air Force. So when they said, you can't do what we want to do, but you can be a firefighter, we got openings for when you want to leave. So I said, I'll be one, I'll be the best firefighter ever. Gratefully, I was able to be the honor graduate in the course that I attended the Air Force Base. That certificate is somewhere in my apartment. But that particular milestone, and Joe insisting that there be a ceremony, very impactful. Joe's my friend, and he's down in San Antonio. I had planned to go down and visit him for Super Bowl weekend, but I have to work on Monday, and he has injuries from his time in service that he would have to explain to you. I don't tell his story. So I texted and said, I think it'd be in my best interest to stay here and not drive to San Antonio for Super Bowl weekend when I have to get up on Monday and go to work. So he texted me back, you're right. I'm not feeling so well, so it probably will be a good weekend. Those are a couple of milestones that I went through in my life, and things were great. I got this flag well over 20 years ago, in 2004. So I've got a 20-year history, a 20-year period, in which, yeah, I'm a veteran, yeah, I'm retired, didn't really have an impact on me, didn't really care, until a fateful day 4 years ago. I got arrested. And this is the part of the story, this is part of what I have to say, I don't really have to talk about it, because I bring supporting documents. Everything in this folder right here, says I don't have to talk about the letter, because there's a case dismissal, and there's an expunction of my criminal record in this file. I'll show it to you if you like, but I don't have to talk about what I'm about to say, because there's no record of it anywhere. You could call any police department in Texas, the National Crime Investigative Service office in DC, and ask, did this guy get arrested? And all they can say is, nope. And I've got proof. But I am a justice involved veteran. I was arrested on February 13th, 2021 for drunk driving. Yes, if you participate in Alcoholics Anonymous. The anonymous part is very, not subjective, but it's very important, because you don't have to talk about that either with the general public, because the word anonymous is included in the name for a reason. But my year-long journey participating in Tarrant County's Veterans Treatment Court was concurrent with being in Denton County's Veterans Treatment Court. So when I finished my year-long program, which could have only been 8 months, but I had a couple of missteps in my program, because the rule book is very important. Handbook is something that's said at every Veterans Treatment Court docket, which I can go to, because I realized that in my program when I was participating, that the one way for me to stay at level flight and to be a good person is to give back to that treatment court that I participated in as a mentor. So I'm a mentor to that court. 9 people have placed their faith in me and asked me to be a mentor. That's impactful for me, because all I have to do is get their text, their phone call, an email from them. I don't have to report to anyone. All they have to do is contact me, keep their case manager apprised that they did, which I had to do myself. So being a mentor to the court is very important. Every Thursday, well, the first and third Wednesdays and the second and fourth Thursday, I'm in downtown Fort Worth as a mentor to the court and as an ambassador to GallantFew, representing the organization, letting them know that we go climbing, which we'll do after we're done here, and that any kind of services for coaching, connecting, and counseling is available to Carl, whom I met during my time participating in Veterans Treatment Court. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here today. All that aside, when you finish Veterans Treatment Court, they give you a nice certificate saying you're done. This one says, I finished. They also give you a flag. This flag is a retired flag. It was saved from a proper retirement. It was mended, it was cleaned, it was folded, and one like this gets presented to every veteran who completes veterans treatment. I'm very proud and happy to say that I received one. This card tells about what this flag represents. I'm not going to read this card. I read it last month at the Rotary Club meeting I spoke at, and I got emotional, because that's the first time I read it and read it out loud. But this flag has meaning for me, but it's not the only one I received. I received one from Denton County as well, because like I said, I participated currently in both programs. I had to go to every session that I was supposed to on Veterans Treatment Court in Tarrant County. But I only had to show up twice in Denton County. The day I got admitted and accepted into the program, and the day I finished, after finishing in Tarrant County, because I had to go back and prove that I finished. And Judge Beal made me a promise that I did come back. You get this, because he gave me a Veterans and Recovery coin that was just brass. But he said, you have to come back and get the painted coin with the writing on the edge. So the promise that I made him was fulfilled. I went back and got it. But both of these flags, they do have meaning for me. These flags sit in my living room next to my television on a table, so that every day I get a chance to see these. And I get to experience the impact that they had for me when I received them. Because it's vital, it's important. If you know anybody who participates in Veterans Treatment Court, your support is very important. Your understanding is very important as well. Being able to go through the program is a privilege. For me, it was a privilege, and I had to go through intensive outpatient counseling. And every time we got together and we spoke on our Zoom calls, they would ask me, what is your commitment to this program, to what you've done? I had one commitment, and that was to complete the obligation that I had to both Tarrant and Denton County to finish the Veterans Treatment Program. I was obligated to do that. I consider my participation to have been a privilege, because not every veteran gets the chance to do what I did. Some of them, and there's a Green Bay facility in Tarrant County, there was 24 veterans that don't get that chance to participate in Veterans Treatment Program, because their offenses are too heinous or too severe for them to be allowed to get treatment for what they've been through, for what they've done. Thankfully, I could, and I did, at the insistence of my lawyer, Suzanne Stevens. I didn't see myself as the veteran who needed help from Veterans Treatment Court. I saw somebody else. And now that I've finished my participation, and as I was going through it, I knew I am and was and are that veteran who needed help. I'm not ashamed and I'm not afraid to tell you that I have 992 days of sobriety under my belt.
That's great.
If you would have asked me before my arrest, are you an alcoholic? I would have said, I like beer. That's all I do. And I don't care what anybody thinks about me drinking beer. I like it. I drink it. Fortunately, I drank it while I drove. The police officer in Louisville, Texas saw that, and he did his job. I'm not mad and I'm not upset about him doing his job, because he did the right thing. And that night was actually a night of epiphany, a cosmic sign, lights flashing, God showing up, and all of that stuff that surrounds a pivotal moment in life. None of that really happened, but that night was very impactful. And when I finished in Denton County, I asked Officer Greg Edge to be there, because I wanted to see him to see the positive impact that it had in my life and what happened and the turnaround that I was able to make. And he showed up. He was there along with my lawyer. I got the opportunity to thank him. I'm grateful that I did, because I didn't thank him for what he did to me. Because he was not doing anything to me. I was doing that to myself. I got the opportunity to thank him for what he did for me. Because he gave me a chance to live, he gave me a chance to become a better person, to refine myself as a veteran, which I'm grateful that I've been able to do these past couple of years. And the opportunity for me to give back. Because the gifts that I was given from that night on, I can't keep. I have to give them away. I have to be there for other people. I went from having about 95 to 97 contacts in my phone. I have over 160 contacts in my phone now, 2 years later, because of people that I've met on the journey that I've been. And without that, there's no telling where I'm at anymore. I could still be one of those people who forgets the lessons that I've learned, forgets the impact of what I've gone through, not take hold in my life. And I could very well be one of those veterans who really, really, really needs help. Sometimes you see them on the median of the roadway, holding a sign, homeless veteran, I need help. That's what I pictured in my mind, in my head, the veteran who needed help in veteran street. It wasn't me, I was fine. I just had one hiccup. But that one hiccup took 45 years to be exposed. My father was an alcoholic. He was an alcoholic. He was sober for 7 years when he passed away. Did I inherit my alcoholism from my father? No. Because I'm my own person. Did what he do in his life before he became sober affect me in my life? A little. But what happened to him and what happened to me are very different things. I got a chance to go through a lengthy marriage that ended because of my own fallibilities and my own mistakes. But today I'm okay with that, because the things that I've learned on my journey allow me to have peace and serenity at the apex of my life. And without peace and serenity, recognizing the peace and serenity that I've achieved and continue to ask for help with every day allows me to go on and allows me to be okay with some of the negative things that have occurred. So with that, talking about these events that occurred in my life and the reasons why I have these flags, the importance that they need. I'm going to do one other thing. Where I work at Rhodes over on East Chase and I-30. Last Veterans Day after the ceremony with the military trophies up, I went back to work, and my store manager and my team manager gave me a flag. And I'm like, what am I going to do with this? Well, I decided that today of all days would be a good day. We're going to fold the flag, and I'm going to read the 13 reasons why the flag is folded. And I asked Carl and Zach to help me fold this flag. So I'm going to read the 13 steps, and then we'll open it up for any questions. And then I'll have another flag that's folded, ready to be put in the case. And I thank all of you for being here for that. If you ever attended the military, perhaps you notice that the honor guards take meticulous attention to holding the U.S. flag once draped on the casket. The guards make crisp, precise folds, total 13 times to complete the ceremony. Well, it's like every other aspect of our nation's great symbol, each of the 13 flags holds a special significance. Here's what the 13 folds mean. It's the private fold.
We didn't reverse this.
This is what the 13 folds mean. The first fold of our flag is a symbol of life. The second fold signifies our belief in eternal life. The third fold is made in honor and tribute of the veteran departing our ranks who gave a portion of his or her life for the defense of our country to attain peace. The fourth fold exemplifies our weaker nature as citizens trusting in God. It is to Him that we turn for His divine guidance. The fifth fold is our acknowledgement to a country where, in the words of Stephen Decatur, our country, in dealing with other countries, may she always be right, but it is still our country, right or wrong. The sixth fold is where our hearts lie. It is with our heart that we pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The seventh fold is a tribute to our armed forces. It is through the armed forces that we protect our country and our flag against all enemies. The eighth fold is a tribute to the one who entered the valley of the shadow of death, that we may see the light of day, and to honor our mother, for whom it flies on Mother's Day. The ninth fold is an honor to womanhood, for they've been through their faith, love, and loyalty, and devotion, that the character of men and women who have made this country great have been molded. The tenth fold is a tribute to the Father, for He too has given His sons and daughters for the defense of our country since he or she was first born. The 11th fold is in the eyes of Hebrew citizens, representing the lower portion, the seal of David, and King Solomon, who glorifies in their eyes the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
I think the first two folds were the folds.
One.
Yeah.
Two.
Yeah. So go ahead and catch yourself.
The 12th fold, in the eyes of the Christian citizen, represents an emblem of eternity. He glorifies in their eyes God, Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. And the last fold on the flag is completely folded with the stars at the uppermost, reminding us of our national motto, God we trust. So, with that, the flag is very important. I'm eternally grateful that I got to serve under that flag, under our flag, for as long as I did. I can tell you that when I volunteered to go to Korea and they said to me they got somebody else for the job, I said, well, my time's finished. It's time for me to retire. I would like to carry on my career, get the most money from our government as possible. However, that didn't happen. And I'd like to thank you for allowing me to share these things in my life, because they do have importance to me. I'm very happy to be able to share a little bit of my story, because it's important, because I'm not alone. There are other veterans out there who are going through similar things. They need our care, they need our help, they need our support as well. Because without it, their success is in the balance. It's one of the reasons why I've chosen to be a mentor of the Veterans Youth Club, because I understand the sacrifices and the things that it takes to complete the program. And with that, the floor is open. Any questions?
So usually at the end, I give the speaker a coin. I already given him a coin, probably more than one. If you need another one, you give me somebody else, I will give you. So that's why I'm not giving Doug a coin right now. A couple of times he mentioned the word let or get to. They let me, or I get to. And one of the themes that I see in veterans when they make a shift from a life that's substandard to a life that starts to have more hope and purpose is they go from I have to I get to, right? So I have to go to Veteran Treatment Court so I get this record expunged to I get to go to Veteran Treatment Court, right? I have to come home to this person that I live with. I get to come home to this person that I live with. When you change the I have to I get to, your mental attitude changes and everything else kind of falls in line. So it's I like that you mentioned that maybe a half a dozen times through your talk. So, anybody have any questions for Doug? Yes, ma'am. what is the 13th pole? It's
The
each
last,
one of those.
the last pole, when the flag is completely rolled, is the stars are uppermost, reminding of our national motto of God we trust. Oh, with that, I don't have anything else to say, which is what we
Nice job, man. Zach, speaker next time?
Possibly Dr. Back here.
Oh, God.
Put him on the spot. Now he has to come back.
It's gonna be informal.
It'll be like pulling teeth.
I've heard of tooth fairy, tooth fairy.
All right, anybody else have anything for the group?
Very well done.
All right, be safe, enjoy the meeting tomorrow, and don't forget Valentine's Day's coming up. Yeah, we're fine.
Yeah. All right, bye, everybody. Thank you, guys.
Well, I'll see you later.
Have a good one.